thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Barry Erickson, and I'm Community Engagement Coordinator here at Wheaton Public Library. Tonight, we are delighted to bring you this special art demonstration in partnership with the DuPage Art League as a companion program to the Hokusai exhibit at the College of DuPage. Founded over 60 years ago, the DuPage Art League is dedicated to promoting and encouraging the visual arts through classes, workshops, gallery exhibits, and public programs such as this one. We are grateful to the DuPage Art League for arranging tonight's demonstration by artist Ben Calvert. Ben is a third-generation printmaker, so he's actually Benjamin F. Calvert III. His first print was created in an independent study and published in Knox College's literary magazine, Catch. His first solo show was at the Elmhurst Artists Guild Gallery in 2016, and he was selected as the artist in residence at the DuPage Children's Museum in 2022. Ben has taught woodblock relief printmaking at the Elmhurst Art Museum, the DuPage Art League, and the Morton Arboretum. So please join me in welcoming Ben.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to the Wheaton Public Library and DuPage Art League for having me present again printmaking, woodblock relief printmaking to share with you. I started in 1989 with an independent study at Knox College, and this is my very first print. It was an independent study, and it got published in the Knox College literary magazine, Catch. I took a little hiatus, riding my bike across the states and such like that, but then in 2006, my brother commissioned me to do a large piece to fit in his office. It rekindled my passion working with wood and creating prints. I did go to the Hokusai exhibit, and I highly recommend it. They give you a little passport so that you make it essentially guides you through the exhibit, not just the original prints that you can see from Hokusai and Hiroshige, but it keeps you on track. There's a lot of things. There's stuff for kids too, so highly recommend going there. What I'm going to do tonight is not the mokuhanga technique, but it is my style of printmaking. I do use some Japanese tools in creating the print, so some of the Japanese carving tools I'll show you. The baron is a technique that they use to press the ink to the paper. But I did bring some books along just in case you wanted to further research. This is a lovely little book, Mokuhanga, How to Make Japanese Woodblock Prints. It's, and I will have this here, so if you want to take a picture of the cover later, this goes step by step the process of a mokuhanga, and highly recommend that. This book is Hokusai, the great picture book of everything. And this is from the British Museum. It contains original drawings or designs by Hokusai, which you usually don't see because those are pasted to the blocks and then carved out. So this is a unique treasure that the British Museum has. And I ordered this through the museum. So it's a little pricey, so if you can find it at a local library, that would be great. And then there's just a plethora of Hokusai books that give you the background and whatnot. One of the other reasons why I'm not doing the same technique as Hokusai did. Hokusai was the designer of prints, and then he would hand his design over to a carver, and they would paste his design to a cherry block. They would carve out the image, and then they would hand the block over to a printer. So there were multiple people involved back when he was doing the prints. Whereas I'm going to be, well, I didn't do the design tonight, so we're doing two steps. So a colleague, previous colleague of mine, Wes from the DuPage Art League, is providing the design for tonight, and I'm going to carve that and interpret his design to make a print. So have that. One of the other things with my background is, as was mentioned, I'm a third-generation printmaker. I grew up with my father's pen and ink sketches on my walls. And so I brought one of his, this is an animal that he did on my bedroom wall. And so I've continued in his footsteps in making my own animal series. So that's fun thing that I like to share because as an artist, well, in my experience, and all the prints are based on personal experiences, but where I've gotten here today isn't just on my own. It's my parents, my grandparents, colleagues, friends, just collectors that keep pushing me to go further. So I appreciate everybody that has gotten me here to this point. Let's see, what else did I have here? And I forgot, oh, I have a list of my slides. Where am I going with my slides? Are we live with the slides? Okay, so let's go to the next one, please. So this is an example of what greets me every time that I go into my studio. Well, it's not an example. This is what greets me. I'll get my cadence in a moment. This is the stairwell in my house that goes to the basement, which is now the whole basement's my studio. And so I have these prints here are my father's. The paintings at the top are my grandmother's, and then the artwork on the sides of the walls are friends. And I started out with some of their prints, giclées, and now that the art is supporting itself, I'm able to buy originals from them. So whenever possible, I encourage you to support your local artists. If you have a family member, to purchase originals. It means so much to them. Oh, here's my. So then the next slide, please. The next person that buys the house is going to wonder what was this person doing in the basement, because I have probably 300 clothespins glued to the rafters. And for smaller prints, I have long arms, so I can reach up to the rafter and pin the prints up there to dry. And sometimes when I have 4 editions going at once, I have a whole house fan in the basement as well to accelerate the drying. And when the fan is on, the prints shift back and forth like peace flags and stuff. So it's really a calming environment. And then I think the next slide. So everything's an experience. This is a self-portrait in 9 variations. So each of the prints, and when you're not doing a reduction print, and I'll get to that term in a minute. Well, a reduction print, you reduce the block after each color to preserve the previous color. So you can't go back. So if you have a block for each color, which I did in this instance, I can repeat the image with different color combinations. So the image is the same, it's the ink that changes the look of it. I was a docent at the Museum of Contemporary Art for a while as a volunteer. And this was derived from one of the installations there. It was a TSA scanner and a commentary on what does the government do with all the scans as passengers go through. And so I put my name badge on the conveyor belt. It scanned my image. And then when I picked up the badge, it projected the image on the conveyor belt along with other things that might be in people's pockets. And I took a snapshot of that and created my self-portrait from that. So that's why it looks a little digitized. It's supposed to be. The next screen, please. So, we're always looking at ourselves in the mirror in that, and have to do at least one self-portrait. This is the next one, which was last year. For my 50th birthday, there's always a backstory too. So if I'm rambling on, Sue, keep me in check. Thank you. Last year, no, 2017, I turned 50, and the total solar eclipse occurred on my birthday. And so I was in Missouri for that and experienced that, and what a wonderful thing to do. But last year I wasn't able to get to the total eclipse. So in my backyard, I held up the colander to see the eclipse occurring, and I carved that night of the eclipse. So so much fun. Central publisher, where am I at? And then next slide, please. I converted my front lawn to native plantings in 2014. And, like many artists, their gardens are inspirations. And so the native plants attract pollinators, dragonflies. There's garter snakes in there now, which I have to get to do a snake print, but it's on the way. So this is in my backyard on a dragonfly on a horsetail. And the next slide. And here we have a dragonfly. My grandmother, she loved painting water lilies, and so she would commandeer me to drive her to botanic gardens and be her photographer for her source photos. So that wraps up into my prints as well. So I didn't realize at the time that both my maternal grandmother and my father, my mother as well, were cultivating an eye and things behind the scenes by, okay, we'll pay for your film if you take these photographs and stuff. So back when we had to pay film for film. And then the next slide, please. And then Le Zèbre en Hiver is a zebra from Lincoln Park Zoo. In February, when I took my niece and nephew on one of their school day institute days. I'm not sure if that's the proper term. But so we experienced that. I didn't turn off my phone, I'm sorry. So this one here, and what I recommend to everyone is no matter what your skill level is, keep trying and put yourself out there, and you never know what's going to happen. So artists are always submitting to art competitions, art fairs, publications, and you have to keep trying, even though some of them you don't get into. This one was accepted to East on Central. It's a publication out of Highland Park, and they surprised me by putting it on the back cover. So you never know where what your experience is going to be by sharing. So it's fun. And we can go to the next one. Again, last year you may recall, and you may be thankful or not that the cicadas are no longer, or they've gone underground this year. So that's our cicada. And then the Honu North Shore. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is sometimes I carve on poplar, which this is a solid board. This way, yes, thank you. So this one is a poplar board. It's a hardwood, but it is relatively easy to carve into. It's not as hard as what a cherry wood would be, but I'm not printing thousands of copies. So the edition for this one was between a regular print and my Hawaiian style. There are 35. So what you worry about is the edges of the wood. When you're hand pressing, it will round the edge and then the image is not as crisp. But that's only if you're printing hundreds, thousands. So this is on the long grain or the face of the board, and that is what a relief printmaker will use. There are certain boards that you assemble together and you use the end grain, and that's more for engraving. And so engravings are what they used to use for newspapers before they went computerized. So that's that. Other boards that I use are plywood. I love plywood because it's on those large prints that I do, you want something that's going to remain flat. And when you're rolling ink, you need a flat surface. Otherwise, if the board is cupped in any way, the ink is not going to get placed properly on the block, and then it won't transfer to the paper. What do we have here? Next slide, please. So the Art Queen of Beverly is a portrait of my friend Judy Anderson. She is in Beverly, Chicago, part of Chicago. She and her husband created the Beverly Art Center's art competition 47 years ago. And she's a member of the Elmer Stardust Guild, where I met her. When COD did the Warhol exhibit 2 years ago, there was a inspired by Warhol competition at Elmer Stardust Guild. And so I had a few weeks that I created this print. And this one upstairs in the show, I have all 4 blocks that were used to create this print. There's 11 colors on the print, and one of the blocks I cut up as a jigsaw so that I could ink each of the pieces with a separate color, reassemble them, and print them all at once. So that was a lot of fun to do to get this image. Next, please. So this is called Prairie. It's a Celtic labyrinth. Again, you by word of mouth or by applying to experiences. Rendezvous Arts in Chicago took me in as one of their artists, and they pair artists with a music group for 3 concerts, and each month it's a different combination. So for 3 concerts, I was on stage with my artwork behind the musicians, and I actually carved a block and then printed it in the reception. This allows the concert goers to experience different medias, and it's a great experience for the artists as well. So that was a lot of fun. Next slide. Okay, and with 2006, when my brother commissioned me to do a print, it was a large print, and I was using a paper called kozo, and that's what the Japanese printmakers print on. Hokusai would use kozo. And back then, I was hand pressing everything, even these 24 by 33 inch boards by hand with a Baron. And I noticed that the oil-based ink was coming through the back and visible to the surface that I was rubbing, which is normally the back that you can't see. And it reminded me of Aloha shirts. These, right? So Aloha shirts, they dye the inside of the fabric, and the outside you can see the particle or the fabric, part of the fabric, and it softens the look of the shirt. And so knowing that, my sister-in-law is from Hawaii, so I get a lot of Aloha shirts from them. Knowing the shirt, I thought I can use that technique in my printmaking. So for many of my prints, up until 2 years ago, I inked just the back and let it come through the front. And you should go upstairs to see the Honu turtle. It is completely on the back, and it almost looks like a felt because of the fibers being involved. This print here, the sky and the background are printed on the reverse, and the plants are printed on the face, and it gives a dimension to the print. And so this one up there and some of the smaller ones we'll get to. So these are poppy pods at night before they've opened with the moonlight silver ink representing that. Next print. And these are the inspiration poppies that are in my front yard. So in late May, there's a grove of them that you can see from down the block. I love backing out of the driveway and seeing them. Okay, next slide. And so this is the day version of the poppies. And this is printed on 3 different blocks. So it's a combination of different blocks and reduction. So the blue is 1 block, the greens are on 1 block or off of 1 block, and the flowers are off of 1 block. Okay, next slide. And so this is showing us the last state of the block and the final print. So this is all a reduction. So all of the colors were printed from the single block. The blue on the back of the paper first, and then that has to dry. And then the yellow gets printed. So then I'm carving away where I want to retain the blue. That leaves a relief where I print the yellow. The next step, I carve where I want the yellow to come through, print the light green. Then I carve away the light green to print the dark green, and carve the dark green away to print the stem. So once you've completed the edition, you can't go back. So it's an automatic limited edition. And when the prints are in edition, hand printed, they are all considered original works of art. So next slide. This is a maple. And so since I started teaching at the Morton Arboretum, I'm a third generation member of the Morton Arboretum as well. So I've been constantly taking pictures of the drip line, looking up at the edge of the trees, capturing leaf patterns and color combinations. And now I'm replicating that in prints. So that's the drip line series. Next slide. And a sumac. So that, again, you're just left with little bits of relief that capture the ink when you're rolling it, right? So those are all raised that capture ink when you roll on the top of it. And then that's the last color that's added to the print. Next slide. Well, I was supposed to save some of these slides when I'm printing. Oh, well, I got carried away, sorry. This is my latest print, Flowering Quince. My father, again, experiences coming and plants that are in my yard. My father helped me rescue a flowering quince from a tear down in Hinsdale. And we weren't sure if it was going to make it, but it did, and it's thriving. And the image has been on my mind for at least a decade, wanting to make a print. And now that I'm printing on both sides, this really came through. So the sky, the green, and this very light pink are all printed on the back. And then the flowers and the branches are on the face of the paper. Very good. Should I leave? Oh, that's it anyway, isn't it? Okay, well, I better get to work. Well, thank you so far. Let's see, anything else over here? Yep. All right. Nope. I want to have this. Oh. Are there any questions so far? Yes, and
Yeah, just
in one moment, we're going to get a mic for you.
Yeah. Large block.
Yes.
Carve something like that.
Yeah, that's a very, so the question was with my large blocks, there's a lot of carving involved. And what I forgot to mention on the Honu for the turtle print, there are 4 blocks involved to print 5 colors. So different blocks will take different time. So the question was how much time? And it's a hard question to answer because I don't keep track. I go into it's a meditative process, and I go into my studio, and I'll get to somewhat of an answer in a moment. But my guess is about 60 hours for that block in carving. And this was the last block, right? So I've already printed 3 colors on a piece of paper. And that last block, when you get to the final part, you're just going, well, personally, I carve very slow at that point because I'm carving natural wood and I don't want it to splinter. So I'm being very cautious. So overall, each block did not take 60. That one, it took the longest. And then there's the printing time. So those editions, I learned in college that I don't go back and try and match a color. So I will mix up a color and I will print the whole edition for that color at once. And so I'm sort of limited to like 12 hours because after that I start making mistakes and I'm exhausted. So the flowering quince, which is also involved, I mean, multiple of those layers were 12 hours of printing each. And so I'll get an addition of 30. So it's, yeah, it's involved. It's a process. And then I don't really count this time, the time that it takes to dry, but they're all oil-based inks. And when I'm layering oil-based inks on top of another layer of oil, the successive layers take longer for it to dry. And if it's red, forget it. Just put it on the rack and go on hiatus. You're not going to see it for a while. So on the quince, I was very excited to have finished it. And after 5 weeks of the last red being what I thought dry enough to print the yellow, which is the last. And it's the same block as the previous color, right? So, because it's a reduction. I printed the yellow, and on the proof, the red was lifting off of the print and back onto the block because it wasn't completely dry. And so it was dry to the touch, but not dry for the pressure of going under the press. So I'm like, okay, I'll wait till I'm done with the 4 weeks of art fairs and then print it. So it took another 5 weeks before I got back to it. So you're welcome. And we had another question in the back row, I think, maybe?
I think it was about whether they were oil inks. Is that correct?
Yes.
I was wondering if you ever used something different than the oil, maybe pastels or.
Yes, that's a great question. So the question again was, do I print with anything different than oil? And I probably should have brought an example. 2019, I was invited, again, once you put yourself out there, things start happening. So I was invited to do an artwork on a piece of canvas. And I'm not a painter. My grandmother was, but not me. And I'm like, okay, it's a 30 by 40 inch canvas. What am I going to do with this? And so I reflected and thought, I can print on the canvas. And it was, the project was, you complete your artwork, and then after the artist, Vivian Suter, she has a studio in Guatemala, and she makes her paintings, and then she puts them outside in her backyard for 30 plus days for nature to complete the composition. Amazing. And so we didn't have to pay for the canvas and everything. It was given to us. And so I decided I'm going to print on the canvas, and I'm going to use oil paint. So I gessoed both sides of the canvas, and then I printed off of a large piece of plywood that matched the size of the canvas. And for the works of paper that I oil-based ink, those are hand carved. But for that large piece, I used a Dremel or a mechanized carving tool, just because it was so big. Had a lot of fun with that. Found out that the hobby Dremels do not like carving for a long period of time. In plywood that I had applied a poly finish over it so that the paint would stay on top mostly instead of being absorbed into the wood. So we managed. So I created and again, the hand pressed. This time I used one of those old irons for some weight, because the fabric with 2 layers of gesso is very thick. And so you need more pressure to press against that to get the ink to release off the board and onto the canvas. And so that was a workout. And then I let it outside for 30 days for nature to finish the composition. It was so much fun. And with the native flowers in the background, taking pictures of that, I was using my camera skills. Sorry about the camera. And the hands, I talk with my hands. So just a lot of fun. One night there was a storm and the canvas had been, I didn't really lay it flat, so it was different valleys and stuff like that. And there was worms and snails crawling on the top of it. Just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun. So, so then during COVID, here I'm going to stand up again. Sorry. So this is our design tonight, and I have an hour in. Oh, back down like this. Okay. But I was trying to share with. Oh, they can see the TV. Duh. Okay. Yes. I'm okay. Sometimes. All right. I'm so sorry. I'll catch up to the rest of the group soon. Okay. Laughter is good for the soul, right? So we're having fun. Well, I'm having fun. Hopefully you are too. So the snails were fun. I went out with my camera gear and put lights around the canvas and the reflections into the water. Just made for some fun photography. Very fun experience. So then during COVID lockdown, there's an Art in Place exhibit, and it was open to any Chicagoland artist. And what they did is they geolinked your address, and you would create a piece of artwork that stayed up the whole summer and open to had to be visible to the public 24/7. And so I printed more of these, I call them print paintings, at the edge of my driveway so that my neighbors could see my process. And then they experienced the artwork on easels in my front yard, from blank canvas to finished artwork. And I still get comments from walkers and stuff. So, you know, as much as you can share, I encourage to do that. Okay, so Wes has provided us with a design. And if I don't talk too much, we might get a print. No. I've got an hour and 15. So we're going to go for two colors. Actually, we're going 3 colors. So the first color is blue, and I've already printed those because it was just a plain background color, right? So, well, not just plain, but the full relief of the block. And you didn't have to sit here and watch me do that. So, oh, I forgot. So while I'm doing this. So I brought samples. So this is a sample of Kozo. And you can see how just delicate this thing is. It is a strong paper, very strong, because it's wood pulp. But it will wrinkle in a second. And then the other paper that I print on is Reeves BFK. And this is a French heavy cotton paper. So I'm going to share those with the audience so that you can feel that and just take a look. And lift the Kozo up to the light, and you might see some fiber strands of the pulp in that. It's really lovely. Just the Kozo, the Reeves is cotton, and you won't, it'll be just, it's very thick and opaque. You won't be able to see through that. Yeah. So these are some of my Japanese carving tools. And now the reason why they provide them in a long length like this, right? And the reason for that is you can customize the size to your palm, right? And so then you cut down the wood and sand it so that it's to your carving length dimensions, the hand dimensions of your hand. I have rather large hands, so I just leave it. But you can notice here, was it? That's yeah. So the BEs, these are my grandmother's tools. I get to use a connection with her when I'm carving. Let's see. I know. Oh, okay. All right. So we're doing green next. Green next. So we're gonna do some of this. Okay. So there's two main types of tools that I use, a V gouge and a U. And I don't know if you can see those. No. So as the name indicates, the V is the shape of a V, and that is used primarily for curves going across the grain of the wood, because you don't want to be carving a lot of wood at a time. So it'll give you a clean cut, especially going across the grain. And then the U is more of an open shape, and that allows you to clear out a lot of wood at once, or if you're carving with the grain, that's very useful too. So I do a lot of line work, but I'm going to do some things here. I'm just going to put some fleshes in here. Okay, and so we're just going to, this is close enough. I'm just going to start. So the original board that was up here is called a registration board. We're going to see that again in a bit. What I'm carving on here is called a bench hook. And in many art fairs, I get the comment, oh yeah, I did that with linoleum, but I cut myself. And the reason I suspect is that they weren't using a bench hook. So the bench hook, as the name implies, it hooks onto your bench. It provides you the block from sliding forward or away from you. And that way you can keep your sharp edge of the tool always pointing away from you. You're not having to support the block with a hand here. This is very dangerous. And so this one has a little notch in it so that you can angle it and carve away. I'm just going to do these pretty quick. Tonight I'm carving on plywood. And so you can see here, the veneer is thick. And that's if you're going to carve with plywood, this is what you want, a veneer this thickness. If you go with a finished plywood that says it's oak finish or cherry finish, don't do it. Don't do it. You will not be happy because that veneer is very thin. And then below the veneer is a layer of glue. And then below that, the grain is the opposite direction of the top layer. And that's what plywood is. The grains are opposite each layer so that you get the strength of the board. So get one that has a thick veneer, because you don't have to go very deep, but the veneer is too thin. And let's go throw these out to the audience as well. Okay. Oh, yep, we're okay. So what I try to encourage my students, and I try to do the same thing. I did it okay with the first two cuts, but then the third cut, I went all the way up to the line, and you lose control over where that stops. So if you carve to the center of where you want to have your line, and then come back and match those, you will be much happier. Because you're trying to preserve a line. See, I've got that little big piece there. There we go. All right. All right. So you want to watch where the grain of the wood, right? So that last piece there, this one here, the cut was going across the grain, and so I need to come in from the opposite angle so that I can go like this and then get rid of that. Okay. Any more questions out there while I'm
Just a moment. I'll
Oh.
bring the microphone to you.
good? I get to,
On the sample block that we're looking at,
yes.
is it the veneer, is the plywood is on each side of it?
Yeah, so but if you feel the wood, plywood is usually finished on one side, not, well, sanded on one side and left a little rough on the other. And so you would want, if you don't have a sander, you would use the sanded surface. All right,
Thank you.
that would be the preferred. Unless you're going for that, you might want the texture in your background. I mean, it's all up to the eye that or what you're trying to get around doing. Yes.
Did you look at the carvings that were on display over at COD?
Yes.
To me, it looked like they weren't cut really by hand, but by a machine.
Oh, the ones on the outside, I think those might have been CNC. So there's different sections of the exhibit, and there's like a storyboard and a history timeline before you go in to see the actual prints that Hokusai did. So the ones outside, those looked like CNC, computer carved. I don't know what the N stands for. But I don't know. I don't believe those did not look hand carved to me. They looked computer laser cut, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, the outside ones. And that's, I mean, if people, you don't really want a lot of people touching it because those lines were really fine. The relief was really fine. And hand carved, it would just take so long to do for, yeah. Good question. Yeah. But I appreciated that they had actual reliefs pre-exhibit so that you could understand the technique. And each of the blocks represent different colors to a print. So I did appreciate that, yeah.
Ben, someone from at home is asking, does it require quite a bit of hand strength to do the carving?
I have some of my previous students here. Yes and no. It depends on the wood. And it depends on how sharp your teacher keeps your tools. So in class, I will use balsa wood, or no, not balsa. Bass, thank you. Yes, basswood. And I would go to Owl Lumber in Des Plaines, buy a 10-foot plank, put it through the planer, carve and chop it down to size. And yeah, okay. Yeah.
And someone else is asking, what do you do with your carved blocks when you're finished printing?
Yeah, so I keep them. They're all in my studio basement. A couple are upstairs that I have framed so that I can admire my work. And then, but not only that, when I have an exhibit like here at the Wheaton Public Library, I can bring those and display. Now, fortunately, we had display cases upstairs that I didn't have to bring a framed one in. But frequently I'll have the framed blocks and then the prints next to it because always sharing and educating. I think it's important to have those steps represented. But I do not sell the blocks. No, no. I have had many offers because the Honu blocks have been at many art fairs, and I'm sure they would have spent a nice coin to acquire it, but I can't let them go. And no, I don't have a favorite. They're all my creations, so it's hard to, I mean, it's like, okay, what's your favorite child type of deal? Maybe not exactly that level, but you know, to me. All right. It in terms of the difficulty, so sometimes if you did find the wood to be difficult to carve out, you can go to linoleum. It's a man-made material. And there's nothing wrong with making prints, relief prints from linoleum. Picasso, that's what he used for many of his prints was linoleum. And again, that was also a mixed, he would do the design and then he would carve, but he would have a printer that actually printed them for him. So, hmm? Oh, oh, I didn't put it on here. I forget. I'm sorry. As I said earlier, I feel like I'm a chef, magician, and artist all up here at once. I didn't plan to be on the spelling bee. But good question. I'll have to, yeah. Yeah, if you say in the Google, I'm sure they will find it. All right, so. And so once you start with that one, where is another here? Oh, it's a knife. Also, you want to start with a small cut and then progress to and repeat the line and move to maybe a larger tool and make another cut. Oh, this one, I need to sharpen this one. So you're removing a lot more wood. And so that also determines how much force you need. I don't know. We'll leave that one out. Sometimes, even though it's a larger thing, you get used to certain tools and you just continue to use those. So anyway, and one more maybe, huh? Okay. Another thing is people ask, how do you get your line so straight? Well, when you're carving with the grain of the wood, it helps you. So I'm being assisted here. It's like your car is doing an auto assist. The wood is doing that for me here. For some larger pieces, if I have like my sky lines that go across 24 inches of the block, and I want something to be somewhat level, I will take a square and a ruler, and I'll put a line across the whole block just as a guide to follow. Anything to make your life a little more easy, and the visual effect at the end pays off with that. So there's process to the whole thing. There's planning. So there's a whole bunch of steps. You have to figure out your paper ahead of time. What I did before the demo started is I registered all of the paper. And what that means is on the next block that we have, there's registration holes here so that no matter what block you put under here at any time, the paper is aligned to here and that lays over the block. So you have to register your paper first and then progress to carving, or once you're done carving, it depends on the timeline. Then you switch the other way. a little. There we go. All right. That would be. Oh, there we go. So another thing teaching, I always bring out different tools. So these long ones are again Japanese for beginners and even me. Power Grip is a great tool. They're relatively inexpensive. So like these range from $9 to $14, depending on the blade. The Japanese tools probably start around $27 and go up. This is a Swiss carving tool. And this one was $43. So, but it does a really nice job in these little places here. So we're gonna do some little things like that. Where's that? I think we're gonna just get rid of that. We're gonna do little lines. Yeah. So I'm looking for the wood part that sticks up. If you have wood that sticks up like that, the ink is going to glob onto that, and then it's going to put the ink where you didn't plan. And it most of the time is very obvious. It can't just get away and hide. We're going to go to the V, and I'm going to just, so I have enough lines. So now I'm cutting across the grain, and I just realized I'm not using my bench hook, right? I lead by example. Oh, there. Looks like I'm struggling, it's because no, I'm just kidding. The Sprite is wearing off. I need more sugar. Uh, uh,
Ben, do you always start with the background?
I have, yes. Yeah, and especially for the demos. And also I'm going to show you a reduction technique tonight. So if you want ink or a color behind your subject, you need to start with the background. And then you're going to add layers to develop the image. And with a reduction, you can't go back. So you need to plan that ahead of time. I don't usually carve this fast at home. But unless you want to sit here for 60 hours, we need a mic. Or you can ask your question, I can repeat.
While you're carving, do you have like an audiobook that you listen to? Do you turn on a live stream?
So the question is, what do I have going, if I have anything going on in the background in my studio while I'm playing? And the answer is yes, I have music going all the time. I have yet to listen to podcasts, so I listen to news occasionally, but music and all types, and reggae, classical, rock, other kinds, just and international. And the international usually wins out because I don't understand the words, and then I'm not focusing on listening to the lyrics so much. So I really love that, and it's just fun music. It's so what I'm going to do. And let's see. I still have CDs and and vinyl. I have vinyl. But I haven't put up, the only issue I have with vinyl is where my music system is. It's next to the fan, and it's more of a hassle to get back there too. Where the 5-disc changer still can go for 4 hours without needing to do anything there. And it's in the basement, and it's below ground where the sound system is, so I can play it where I don't usually blast it, but yes, another question. No. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, favorite part of the farming process was, like, do you have a favorite shape, or are there any parts that really stand out?
Oh.
So you've done that, which is particularly fun for like an hour.
Okay, so the question was, if I had any particular cut that I like to perform, or shapes, or and so there's this, excuse me. So there's some of it on the my first print there where I'm carving with the lines, and what I'm doing here too, in my cloud scenes. So the cloudscapes that are in the background, I get lost in those. Yeah, yeah. And the other thing I really enjoy about, just carving in wood is relaxing, but printing off of the natural wood is exciting. Oh my gosh, it's because you don't know, because it may look flat to me, it may feel flat. When I take a square to it, it might look flat, but the wood might not pick up the ink the same way across the board, and it gives a different signature to each print, making them unique. And that's fun. It's not, and it becomes more apparent that it's not machine made. So thank you for those questions. I do appreciate. Just disappear. Getting there, and I should probably do maybe 5 minutes more on this. Okay, what's going to do here? So this part, just bear with me. It won't be as exact, but again, we are fortunate to have 2 hours, and I hope I didn't talk too much in front of my images on the screen, but I get carried away. But if you're ever, I do have papers up on the desk here at the front. So last year I bought a letterpress, as if I didn't have enough projects with my relief prints. But it's handset type, and it has a schedule of my art fairs. And if you see an image and you want to ask a question of what experience provoked you to create that, please stop by and say hello. The next local one that I'm at is the Geneva Fine Arts Fair at the end of July. It's all original artwork, lovely space. The organizers do a great job. Close by. All right, so I have a little bit of these little things sticking up, so I'll take a smaller tool and try and just get those out. Oh, sometimes you make, right? This part is, you want to just glance across that edge. Otherwise, that's what it does. It makes another one.
I've got a question on
Yeah.
your wood. You said that the wood doesn't release the ink or the paint evenly all the time.
Correct.
Would you ever treat the wood so that it would release it?
No, I'm okay with the surprises. I've come to peace with that. I do treat for the print paintings, the big pieces that are 30 by 40 inches. Those I treat with a poly, but there's a trade-off. So if you treat the wood so that it releases all the same, then you might lose the texture of the grain that might not be pulled away from it. So I would prefer to have the texture of the grain of the wood in the image. And there's always exceptions, right? So that answer previous was for my color work. If you're doing a black and white, like my animal and insect prints, that you want it flat, I would say. That would be the caveat. And maybe treating that wood might be, but I've been using a Sheena plywood as well, from McLean's printmaking. It's online out west. And the Sheena plywood is manufactured specifically for carving. So the glues that they use are more tool friendly so that you're not going dull faster. And their surfaces are pretty well flat. I haven't had any experience where it doesn't show up, but if there's just a little few dots or something like that, if it's not in the main subject or something, if it's off, that's fine with me. I can't be perfect all of the time. I shouldn't expect my prints. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me,
And someone else is asking, if you do make a mistake, how do you repair it? Is there like an epoxy or something like that that you can use to repair?
yeah, so that's the true so if you make a mistake in a block, and sometimes I have used wood glue in one instance where the plywood peeled up, it didn't detach, okay? So it peeled up, so I put a little drop of wood glue at the edge to hold it down, and that worked because it wasn't at the surface. But if it completely detached, then I try and make it so that it doesn't look like that's a mistake. I don't try and glue something into that section. I just make that part of the image as much as I can. There's I don't have it here because it's big. It's another 24 by 33 image of a motorcycle, and so all 3 blocks that I was carving from were plywood because they were the same size, and the registration becomes easier when your blocks are the same size for printing. And the image of the motorcycle was so complex to get the little motor in the fins of the coolers, cooling parts of the bike. I stopped. I had to move to a plywood, or not a poplar block. So there was so many little pieces of wood that came out, and I couldn't glue it. I couldn't do anything. So I switched out a whole block. Luckily, I wasn't too far into the image at that point. So that if you're not doing a reduction, that's an option, is to start over. And if, oh, so the other thing is, this was not, well, oh, this was a curve. So this is a good question. So I'm trying to think of examples in my, and I'm not afraid to share errors. In fact, if you go upstairs, there's the block for the day poppies, and it's a red block, and it's against the outside window. It's again 3 blocks, and so I have to copy the image initially onto all 3 blocks, and then determine which block is going to be printed, which color, and then I'm carving those. And the main block, or a key block, is the poppies themselves. And I'm sorry, again with my hands on the TV. I forgot to copy one of the flowers onto the block. And I got to the end, and I'm just going to town removing, because there's this large area that doesn't have a design on it, and it needs to go so that when I'm inking up the block, it doesn't capture the ink to be transferred. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, there is something off there. This is not balanced. This is not what it is in my mind. And I looked at the drawing, and the second largest flower wasn't there. And I'm like, holy cow, panic time. And at that point, I had put so many hours into this block. I'm like, I'm going to try this. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to recarve the block. So I drilled holes around where the flower was supposed to be and used a jigsaw to cut out a square. And then I went and found another piece of plywood that was what I thought the same thickness, because not all plywood, even if it's a 1/2 inch plywood or 3/4 inch, they're not all the same thickness, even if you buy it at the same time. And I cut the square, put it in there, shimmed some paper in there to hold it in place, carved the flower, then printed it, and it was not high enough. So there were probably 4 proofs just to get that little block with labels stuck to the back of it to raise it up enough so that it would be the same level as the rest of the print. And it succeeded. But for a while, for that night, and when I realized it, it was already late at night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just crazy. Anxiety, but what a rush. And you know, now I have a little more confidence if something like that happens again, just to, there's a sticker over here. Don't panic. Can you, oh, they can't see it on the side. No, I have a sticker on the thing there. Okay, all right, I have to get going because I have one more color to carve after this printing. But I think we're pretty good. I think that defines our flowers pretty well. And we're going to switch. So we're going to move our bench hook over. Okay. Now, sorry, Barry, your cleaning service is gonna not like me. Yeah. Okay, so. Oh. All right. Wow. Okay. This step back. Okay, so we have our tri-slash. So. um, Okay. So. Last roller. Brayer. Okay, so this is a brayer. Larger ones we call rollers. I use the terms interchangeably. This is what we're going to transfer the ink from our block plate over here onto our block. Just a habit to mark the edge of your block that's visible from the outside so that when it's under here, it's in the proper position. Because it also fits that way. But if your previous print was also this way, you're going to have an upside down print. I've done it. Oh, yes. So I do have a flowering quince where the blue is at the base and the green is at top. And it looks fine. But I have a labyrinth that one layer is with the entrance from the top and one layer with the entrance from the bottom. And that it's not calm. Yeah, it's not calming.
Wow, that makes sense.
All right. What did I do with that little green? Oh, there's this. Let's see. And so when you're opening up these are all water soluble. Ooh, that's a little bright. Water soluble inks. The tops of the containers, the ink dries out, and there's lots of little dust particles that you do not want in your ink in your print. So you always open them over something else. Should be a garbage can, but got that. Get to the edge of this. So for my classes, I use either Speedball or Blick. Blick is considered a local art store. Oh, yeah, sorry. Blick is a local, they're headquartered in Galesburg, Illinois. So I try and frequent them when I can. Then Graphic Chemical is also a local print haven. Oh my gosh, back when in the 80s, my grandmother bought from them and then I started buying from them. And when I had to do my commission piece, I didn't have enough experience. So it was great to have Graphic Chemical right in Villa Park where I could go to their location. The owner took me into his back storeroom with flat files and all the different papers and to be able to feel the textures. It was a treasure. They're still a treasure. So I buy a lot of my oil-based from them, oil-based inks. And I think it's either the third or fourth generation family-owned business there. So that's not enough green. So we're not looking for mint. No. Oh, uh-oh. Let's take some of that out. That's, yep. Having too much fun. Like, well, maybe I can use all that. All right, we're going to go. We're going to go just a little bit more. And I'm going to learn my lesson. I'm going to put it over there and add. Oh, Sue, come on, tell me. Oh, they want to see the. All right, this looks like a nice frosting, doesn't it? Yeah, don't eat this. Hmm. Okay, we're gonna go with that. Yep, can you see that? All right, so right now, I don't know if it is possible to see, but there are, in wine tasting, you would call them les jambes, but you do not want les jambes in your ink. You want dots, and so we're gonna take a little bit of that off. And you're also listening, right? So we still have a little bit too much. We're going to come down. Okay. And now, since I have all these verticals, I don't want to roll this way, although I think I could because I do have enough there. But for the beginning, I'm just going to roll this way and cover that up, come back. You're like, okay, you just took all the ink off and now you put some more on, but you want to try and keep your ink level consistent when you're applying to the board. And you don't want to put too much on too fast. You want to build it up, because if you put too much on and you print, the pressure will force that ink off to the sides and you get a muddy image instead of a nice one. We're going to try to go this way too. That's not too bad. So now it's very fine. If I were using a press, this is more the level of ink that you would be using. But since my shoulder pressure isn't the equivalent of a press, I need to put just a little bit more. Okay, we're going to go with that. And now, so I have pre-put or pre-drilled, or not drilled, but created holes in there so that, now see, the paper aligns with the registration board, and when I let that down, it's in place. And I'm going to use pressure. And again, like, it's hard to tell you how much pressure, because each of us don't have chips in us yet to tell us, okay, you're using 30 PSI of pressure. Everybody's body is a little different, but as long as you get a feel for it. And so each print that comes off informs you of what your technique needs to be next. So
Excuse me, Ben, could you show that tool that you
Oh,
were using to the
yes.
camera so that they
Yes.
can see it?
So this is a Japanese baron. And the pronunciation might be baren. I'm not sure, because I think the Japanese have an open vowel, but it's a bamboo leaf. It has ridges. And the ridges prevent friction, okay, so that you can freely move the tool over the paper without it being sucked against it, okay? So that, there is also a Speedball. Speedball has a bearing. And this is like a mesh screen here. Yeah, it's a mesh screen, so I'll pass this one around. I don't use the Speedball one. Your wrist is a couple inches off. And so I find that it tilts for me. I like being the Japanese tool. You're right on top of the back of the paper. And it works great. This is what we call a reveal. So we can see what we have. So we have one layer. Oh. No. So the question was, have I ever made my ink from scratch? No. The benefits of having graphic chemical in my backyard practically, I mean, they're 5 minutes away. And their emerald green is luscious. Oh my goodness. During COVID lockdown, I waited 7 months to get another can. They also sell their inks in cartridges, like caulk cartridges, and it preserves your ink so well. It's not exposed to the air and creating a film, and just great. Okay, it's a little thick, but it's all right. Oh, I can take that off. I don't, this you can use to protect your fingers when you're carving. For me, it's more about my nails not going into the wood, because sometimes when you're carving, your nail will skin the surface, and just a little indent can show up on your print. So
I'll come with the mic just a moment.
I was just gonna ask, you warned us that each block that you carve has a certain lifespan because the edges will get rounded out over time.
Yeah.
Do you have any other tells for when that happens, or a preferred way you permanently retire a block print like that?
so
Like, do you cover them in linseed oil or anything?
no,
Ooh.
no link at all. So unless you're printing hundreds, the edges, well, okay, depends on the wood. So basswood, a lower edition, poplar, couple hundred. If you're doing it by hand, it's going to be less. If you send it through a press, you'll get more, because the hand is what you're rubbing against that edge. But unless you're doing 100 or more, I wouldn't be concerned about that. No, and so the best protective would be to run it through a press, because it's just the pressure at the roller pressure, right? So it's not being rubbed. And all of my prints I did by hand up through 2020, or up in 2020, I bought a press. So, and then currently, mostly it's just demos that I do by hand. And I upgraded my press 2 years ago, and I should have had that in the slides, I'm sorry. But it's a 9.5 foot long press. The bed is 30 by 40 inches. It is lovely. And it's a dinosaur green, and the nickname is Danny the Dinosaur. It's a beautiful machine. It's just lovely. And it's hand cranked. So I still get a workout, but it's so smooth. It took 3 of us and an engine hoist to take it apart, 4 movers to remove it from a basement, transport it, and bring it into my basement, and then the 3 of us and an engine hoist to put it back together. What a production. Oh my gosh. But again, just so fortunate. Oh, if someone said I needed to move and it would take me probably 10 years to get everything organized, and situated, yeah. Yeah. And and then when I got into letterpress, everything is big, heavy, obnoxious that way too. So I had last year, things just keep finding me. So I just go with it. A 1925 letterpress with a chase that is 12 by 18 landed in my garage. It's the size of a small Fiat. I mean, it is, and my backyard still looks like Sanford and Sons. So how am I doing? Oh, I gotta have, okay. I guess we're gonna do an addition. We're doing 5. We'll do 5. Because then I gotta, actually, we're doing 4. That's it. Thank you, Sue, for the towels. Okay. All right. Okay, so. Feel like a barber at this point. Close shave. Now. Don't look, Ethel. Too late. All right, let's see here. All right. Just for a second on that. Okay. Thank you so far for the questions. I hope you have some more. No? Oh, good, good, good. So I was the an artist in residence at the DuPage Children's Museum. And the classes that I teach are adult ed. And this gave me an opportunity to work with children, which was a wonderful experience. So over the course of 6 weekends, any child that came to visit the museum and came into the art room, we recreated a collograph, which is another form of relief printmaking without using sharp tools. So they each got a 3x3 block of cardboard. They drew a design on that, and then we glued string, and that created the relief. And then they rolled ink on top of that after it was dry, and then put a piece of paper down, used some of my old college books for them to press down, and then they had their own reveal. And the look of joy, priceless, just wonderful. So it was from 4-year-olds up to high schoolers, just a wonderful experience, and I'm grateful for that. The other thing that, in conjunction with that, I went to Steeplechase Middle School, and all of the second graders during the course of the week, during their art period, they created a 9x9 collograph. And then the museum has a gallery where all of their prints were on display, and they had a Friday night art reception. And that is just, if more people could do things for the children like that, that would be just amazing. So wonderful thing. And they gave me, that's where this apron comes from. So I feel like I'm an artist now. Let's see. Okay. Done with that for the moment. Okay, 10 minutes. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Crunch time, right? Ah. So I go to estate sales and there's some lovely copy carbon paper out there. The old school is much better than the nylon stuff we have available today. So don't go to the estate sales and take my, my supply. No. No, it's always good to share, right? Better to share. My leaves on this side, I think yeah, do we need to do anything there? Oh,
I'm coming with the mic.
Do you happen to know what Hokusai used to transfer the art to the block? Because
So-
there wasn't carbon paper.
it wasn't covered, and it's usually it's I believe it's a rice paste. It's a paste. So the sheet of paper, they apply the paste to the block, and then they put the sheet of paper down on that. So it's glued to the block. And the sheet stays there as they carve, to my understanding. And that's why his artwork is non-existent. The prints are. But the book I shared from the British Museum, that's the exception. So there aren't prints of those because the drawings still exist. Right. Woo. Which I'm going to use this one, this one. All right, let's see here. Green, get rid of the green, right? Still a little wet, but oh, yeah. Okay. Start with the easy stuff, right? Whenever you're hesitant, tackle something easy. It'll get you into the flow. And then, not saying that I was hesitant to jump in here, but yeah, just giving you some helpful advice. I know, but I do recommend, and I do take breaks. You do want to stretch your fingers and get your blood circulating and stuff like that. So carving. So this is really shouldn't be doing it this way, right? Because I'm carving into the grain. That could be dangerous. So I'm using a really wide U here. And that's because I want to remove as much of this as possible. That alpha go up. Oh, that goes there. The other thing I could do, well, if I had thought about it, but actually I only have 10 minutes, so I'm not going to reduce. You could reduce the lines, like just take this and go here and shave a little bit off here and this side. And then the middle would be blue and the outsides of each of those lines would be green. But taking a lot of time, so we're just gonna. Some of these flowers might be a little rough. They've been in the wind a lot, so. You know, you make the story, right? I appreciate the pause in questions because I have to be a little focused. Oh, those are green, so those need to go. Right, that's green. Oh, we'll get rid of all that. Ooh. Get rid of it. See, I get carried away with the carving and I. Those are actually, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do over on this side. I'm not gonna carve them. I'm gonna take the easy way out on that. Because I need to, I need to have some fun with that, right? So let's see, where did I put that little one? So these are. Ooh, lucky, lucky. I'm going to interpret this line. Right, I'm going to do this here. This has been on speed. They already gave me the check though, so. Right, I just need to get this right here. Okay. Ooh, so that's what I mean by the plywood tear out. Did you see that? So this right here is bad. And it's because the way that I was carving on the grain, I was paying attention to this side, but not this side. So now if I come over here, we're going to adjust that pedal. And so I'm worried about the inside or the left side line. And that's why I'm carving that direction away from the grain of the cut so that it cleans that up. And then I'll remove, it'll be a different pedal than what was drawn. That's okay. Wes won't take offense too much, I don't think, but oh, close, right? 8:30. Whoo. Evening has flown for me. I hope it has for you too. Oh, don't cut that way, right? This way. No more cutouts. No more. Oop, there. Right.
You have to show them that.
Yeah, so I probably should have used a in between because I've been using this one very often. Now this is a softer pine board, but you should use a slip strop. So it's like the movies with the barbers and the blade on the leather. So there's a rubbing compound that you put on the leather, and then the friction and the weight of you pulling across that with the edge of the blade keeps it to a sharp tip. And then if you get to a point where you can't keep it sharp with that, then you move to a stone and sharpen it that way. This is bothering me. One more cut there, I think. So that's going to round this off a little bit. I didn't get all your details in there, but I need to do some things here. So let's do this. This should be out of there. And this. There's always, you get to the end and you think, oh, it's only going to take me another 45 minutes. 3 days later, you're still working the block. Wow, okay. So, everybody bring their sleeping bags. And Bear, I think, oh, those are going to be green. Those are going to be green, right? Yep, they're green. Okay, get there to that. All right. Whoa. Okay. Trying to go fast and not making it look like it's fast. Doesn't work. All right, that's going to have to go. Clean up on aisle 5. Get rid of that. Okay. Hopefully there's enough in there. This one, this one. Okay. Last chance for questions. No. All right.
Someone at home was asking, are there common beginner mistakes to avoid, for example, with the wood or paint?
Ink. Not that I'm quizzing you, Barry, or the person online. Tonight we're using, for beginners, I would strongly recommend ink, but go for the highest quality materials that you can afford. If it turns out to be a gorgeous piece, you want it to be to last. And the better quality materials are the things that are going to let you enjoyed for the longest time. They also tend to be easier to use. So beginners, this is water soluble ink, but and I only use it for demos and students classes, but oil-based ink by far is, the colors are more vibrant. It does take a little longer to clean up and whatnot, but the quality of your images are going to be so much better. Oh, okay. So there's a mistake. Make sure you don't have make sure you don't have your block full of debris before you apply ink, because those become challenges, whatever. I was doing so good up until the last 15 minutes. So sorry.
Any other questions? Just raise your hand and I'll bring the mic to you.
Nope, they're just like, get this print over with. Okay, so over there. Now, so this is all supposed to be green on the right side. And what we do is we use a mask. All right, well, now that won't get transferred. Again, we're using a registration board, and the holes match the holes in the paper. Let that down so that it's in the same location.
And someone is asking, do you have special exercises or warm-ups that you do to keep your hands in shape for the printing that you're doing?
So my grandmother, long story again, so we don't have time, but anyway, she taught me how to play the piano. And so fingers are strong from that. And I do have a piano. Do I play it like I should? No. But every once in a while, I will use, play for 10 minutes, and that keeps those muscles. And I think the cycling, I live close to the prairie path. And so the cardiovascular, just general health things. But I don't do any particular specific exercises just for printing. Good question, though. I don't know if there are. Maybe that's my new YouTube channel. Okay, here we go for the reveal. Ooh, you can't see it all because it has the mask. But all right, so it really needs another color and more. Yes, thank you, Barry. So there we go. All right. And now, since I'm an edition printmaker, I have to make an edition, and I always try. So I owe one to Wes, and I will give one to the library for hosting me, and one to DuPage Art League for sponsoring us.
We have another question
Oh,
back
yes,
here.
go ahead.
Ben, you mainly showed examples of reduction prints.
Tonight.
Tonight, right? Do you also do multi-block prints?
Oh, yes.
Or
Oh, yes.
is this like your favorite? As far as reduction versus multi?
No, it's not a favorite. I love both techniques. But I wanted to show it tonight because a lot of people, it's, in terms of printing, it's the most scary because you can't go back, right? So I wanted to show that, but I did have enough blocks here that if I wanted to transfer the image to each block and do a different block for each color. So different, if you were doing, well, if you were doing a print and you wanted to, your projected edition was 200, it might be difficult to do that all in one day or something. So it might be beneficial, or say it's a block that you created that is applicable to multiple events, or you wanted an open edition. If you want the open edition, you need to do an individual block for each color. Okay, because then you can come back and print more prints. And that's what the Japanese did too. So all of theirs are not reduction. Oh, well, all of the ukiyo-e are non-reduction. It's a block for either one or multiple colors, but it's separate so that they can reproduce or print again successive editions. So so it depends on your what you're going for. There's collectors out there that only collect reduction prints. So, and for me, my largest edition that I've done so far is 120, and a small duck print, very cute. From other people have said that. I don't mean to, but and it took a long time I was tired of seeing, and I love my little duck print. But at the end of it, I was like, the 120 was just almost too much. Just because there's so many images in your mind that you want to get out there onto a print, or an artist wants to share with people. And so I like to do one, and I like to have enough that I can share, but not too many.
And just as we're finishing up here, I'll remind folks that if you registered for this program, either in person or virtually, you will receive a follow-up email from me tonight with a number of links for the Art League and for Ben's work, as well as for the exhibit at College of DuPage. And then wait just a few days, less than a week, you will receive a second follow-up email that will have the direct link to the recording of the program so that you can watch it again or share it with a friend.
All right, well, thank you. I can't even use that paper because it's, uh-oh, here, this way. And usually I don't use the same mask. Thank you. Although maybe we could do one without that and see what it turns out to be like. If there were more lines carved into it, I think it could be an interesting thing, but we'll print. I have one more that I can print that way. There's another thing, the question about covering up my boards or preparing the putting something over it so that the ink releases better. I'm working on a crocus print currently, and the green, I mixed two different manufacturers. And so it's sort of getting into viscosity printing, but it's not exactly that. So, but the ink, the oil base, the linseed oil in it must have different viscosities or signatures. And to my eye, when I had mixed up the two colors to make this lovely green, it looked like it was mixed thoroughly, right? And then I applied it and it's a plywood block. Oh, I'm going to go all the way over there. And then I put it through the press. And the green separated under the pressure of the press into little dots, and the little dots rested on the grain of the wood. Oh my gosh, just cool. And it happened on all 30 of the edition. So I'm like, that's cool. So that's another reason, these little things that come up, and I can't wait for that one to be done. All right. This is the last one, and While I'm rubbing the back, thank you so much for your attention this evening and lovely questions. Appreciate all of you being here. It was a lovely to perform to a live full house. And everybody online too, your questions out there, thank you. And all future viewers. So. Very almost on time. Thank you.
No worries. Again, if you're watching this recording and didn't
But there we go.
and didn't register for the program, but you'd like those resource links to access more information about Ben and about the Art League and about the Hokusai exhibit, you can email me to ask for those resource links at ce@wheatonlibrary.org. That's CE for community engagement
And
at wheatonlibrary.org, and I'd be happy to send
oh,
those out
thank
to you.
you.
But with that, we'll say goodnight. Thank you so much for joining us.